Hello, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter, along with Jason.
Hey, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone. That's right. It's been a while. We're getting going on the. I'm so rusty. We're getting going on the 2026 calendar. You can work in a sketchbook if you want to. Please let me know if you can see and hear us. That would be great. I'm using some watercolors that came out around Christmas time. They're by Fumui and they come in this really pretty wooden box. And I was pretty sure I knew the paint that was in here because I'm very familiar with all the different paints that kind of come out of China. And look at this pretty wooden box. I'm 95% sure these are superior watercolors. We're going to use them today and paint this lovely little scene, which is linked up in the video description of this little kind of snowy field with kind of like a mountainy landscape and a little cabin, it looks like. This looks like an idyllic little place. I'll pull that in there. Hopefully you can see that enough. And we're going to get going. Everybody see and hear me?
You are seen and heard.
Awesome. This kit comes with a dual-ended brush, which you're probably familiar with. I have reviewed these brushes in the past, but this brush, they come in these kits, have this graphite tip, so I thought I would just try sketching with that and see how that works. And yeah, we'll see how this does. This is also available in a 12-color set if you are interested. And I'm going to start by sketching this little hut here, this little cabin, cottage, whatever you want to call it. Ooh, this is a pretty, I don't know if I like how bold this is for the size of this paper. I might have to switch to a pencil actually. I'm wondering if it might be one of those everlasting pencils. I think it's one of those everlasting ones because it's really, really light. I don't think that's going to work for my YouTube video. I'm going to grab a pencil, but that was interesting.
Is it everlasting because you don't want to use it?
Maybe, but you know,
It'll last forever because you don't use them.
that's true. I have a lot of everlasting supplies. Let me tell you, a whole new market for those products. But I had one of those ones. It almost feels like a dry point type of pencil. It's just very very light silver in look. Let's see. I'll use this 0.7 Pentelgraph gear. I wonder if that erases too. That would be interesting to try before you guys try it on your papers. Let's see if it does erase. Yeah, I think it's one of those everlasting things, like not an actual graphite. Let's start over.
Lindsay here.
Oh yeah, I should tell my group chat. I forgot to put my phone in airplane mode, so when they pop a comment, it comes across my screen, the first like sentence of it. So behave yourself, ladies. You know who I am. You know what I'm talking about. I'm starting by putting the gable end of this building here. Remember when you slant your roof, you've got some 1-point perspective happening. I'll just kind of see where would that point be. The point would be way over here. So I'm not going to worry about that, but I'm just going to keep that in my mind as I'm sketching that those would be vanishing off to the vanishing points. Get a lower eave there. And it's a little wonky, that's all right. It's a little cabin in the prairie side. Get a little tuft of hill here. My little chimney. And got this little kind of hearth built out, kind of like probably the fireplace built out of the side of the building. Hopefully that's showing up. We're not going to get too involved with this sketch here. Just want to get it down. You can use some pen and ink if you want to. I think I'm just going to kind of sketch a little bit dark, but if you want to use look really nice for this, you can go ahead and do that and do like, the detail on the roof. It looks like a metal roof, so I'm just going to throw in some diagonal lines there, just lines going with the eave, with the slope of the roof. And I'm doing it dark as if I was using a pen. And I'm going to go ahead and just draw in some little bricks. This is a 0.7 pencil. It's not that fine of a pencil even. and it's probably like an HB. I'm not sure. I think it's probably an HB. The thing I like about these Pentel graph gears, I picked this up at Fiddleheads in Belfast, which is just a little like local art supply store. You can get leads for these pencils in different hardnesses and softnesses. So if you do like a softer pencil, like I think it goes up to like maybe 4B, you can get those. I haven't seen that from other companies. That's Pentel. I'm sure you can order them online as well from like Blick, but I like that variety. I'm just putting some stones in here. There are some like, it looks like stucco available like on the side of this. I think if I was going to do the stucco, I would just like kind of use a piece of credit card, cut a credit card and some gouache and scrape it on there. So I'm just going to draw it as if the stones are just there kind of on their own.
Did you see where that came from?
Fiddleheads in Belfast.
Oh, the photo.
It's Pexels, and there's a link in the video description. It's under reference. There's I linked up this kit, the calendar, and the reference photo. This is all bricks and stones too, so it's going to be hard to tell until we put some shading on there, but I just want to get those textures down, at least a bit of them. It snowed today here. I woke up like 3:34, and I looked out and I could see the snow, and it was get a couple 2 or 3 inch. What do we have, about 3 inches, or is it smaller now because it started to rain?
Yeah, it was a couple inches.
It was fluffy when I got up this morning, but I think it's all kind of
Sticky now.
yucky. Oh yeah, this little building back here has boards going down and not stone. It's probably a woodshed or something. All right, and then behind we've got these kind of like mountainy areas. That's going to go right up the edge. And we've got this kind of like, I don't know, it's like a very lightly snowed prairie area. And you can even see some like little grasses that just want to kind of poke through in the foreground. That will give us some scale if we put those in there. I wonder if this is in the Midwest or if it's in a totally other country. Okay, I'm really excited about painting the sky because there's lots of pretty colors there. I have pre-wet my palette because I wasn't so sure about these paints, but I'll show you. This is the colors that are in here. The pigment information is pretty impressive, but I'm not sure if it's accurate. But we've got real cadmiums, cadmium reds, cadmium oranges, cadmium yellows, cobalt blues. I don't know if it's accurate though. I got to be honest. A lot of single pigment colors in there that I'm questioning. So I don't know. We'll see. We're gonna wet the sky area first. If you have a big flat brush, use it. If you don't, you can use the larger end of this brush. That was just going to be. It's much better if you have a big flat brush, I think, for this because those are small. And press down your tape. I taped down the edges so that my paper won't wrinkle, and also to protect the numbers on my calendar. I have to get better about actually using my calendar this year. Just kind of sat on a shelf down here. I don't even think I looked at it after I painted it. So, you guys have any? Let me know what you guys did with your calendars last year if you painted along. Wondering if I should just bind the calendar, make it a sketchbook, and toss it on the sketchbook shelf now. Last year's calendar, anyway. All right.
The photo info says it's in the UK.
Okay, cool. Now, what I'm looking for here is a uniform kind of semi-gloss sheen. So when I hold it to the light, I don't want to have dull spots. I don't want to have puddles. I want to have it uniform. So sometimes what I'll do is if I have colors to mix, I'll wet the paper, I'll mix my colors, I'll come back, I'll wet the paper again, and then it'll be ready to go, ready to paint on. Cotton paper is very absorbent. Sometimes it takes a couple passes of water to get it saturated, But also I find it with cellulose paper, because cellulose paper can tend to absorb um, in unequally. Doing the double wetting helps with cellulose paper as well. I'm going to give it a tap so I don't have any puddles by the tape. Sometimes that happens. I think we're pretty good. I'm going to go with the brush that came with this. I'm going to use the number 10 end. And I'm going to keep the detail end on there because this is a very short brush and it'll be uncomfortable to hold if I take both ends off. And I'll start off with some yellow. I'm going to use my cadmium yellow. These are very vibrant colors though. Oh, there's a way to tell if they're actually using the pigments that they say. I mean, because this is a bargain set. This set has been on sale for like 30 bucks, maybe even less. And for 24 half pans in a wooden box, I mean, just the wooden box I would think would cost that much. So I don't know. It seems like it would be hard for them to do actual cadmium colors. I'm getting the yellow to orange parts of the sky in here. Now I'm going to grab some cadmium red. And the orange there is a cadmium orange. It's PO20. I'm going to add some there adjacent to our yellow. And you want to work this fairly quick because you want to get into that sky while it's still damp and blendy. And this is going to be easier on cotton paper versus on cellulose paper because it stays wetter longer and it keeps that more uniform wetness all over the paper. You just want to be careful when you're doing a sky like this because there's so many colors. You want to make sure that you're not going to be adding opposite colors on top of each other because that's where you end up with mud. I'm going in with this rose red. The colors on the swatch card you get with the set do not match the colors that are on the wrappers. Like there were two colors that were called magenta and two colors that were called burnt sienna on the cards themselves, on the pan wrappers. So just keep that in mind. It could be confusing when you're filling out your swatch, but go by the numbers. The numbers are accurate.
Does the lid magnet to the side of the box, or
I think it's the magnet
closed?
just to keep it closed. Let's take some ultramarine blue. Just the way the marks on the pans when I've had a drop of water and it dries, it looks like superior watercolor. So I think that's what we got here. But I'm not mad at that because I like superior watercolors. I think they do a good job for value for money. I'm really surprised at the quality and the amount of stuff that Fumui has been putting out this year. They've had a ton of products and they've all been pretty good. I hope they keep their prices low. You never know, you see a lot of companies that come out with these really nice quality products and low prices, and then they jack up the price. Now this is the cobalt blue, and it says it's an actual PB28 cobalt blue. We're going to use that to fill in the remaining white areas of the sky. Try to avoid puddles. If you feel like your brush is too wet, just blot it because you don't want to be dispensing water onto your paper at this point. You want to just be going in with some color and that's it. And be careful around the yellow with this cobalt blue because that's going to that will go green if you're not careful. Okay, so now I'm going to clean my brush off. Shouldn't have filled my water. I should have used more shallow water things with a brush this length. I'm blotting it off. It's still a little damp, but I'm going to go in some of these areas and just kind of wipe out a little bit of color and just kind of blend some of this color over to the mountain area because it is very light in the sky over by the mountain.
Scotland.
Oh, I was thinking if we did any other European retreats, I'd want to go to somewhere in the UK. I don't think that little hut's going to hold all of us, though. It's not enough space.
One of the classrooms not up the mountain.
Oh, no. My knees wouldn't stand for that. Italy was hilly enough. We'll do a little bit more yellow over here, maybe.
Can I look at this one? Where we talk about whether or not that was wood? This palette.
Oh, yeah.
I think so too. I couldn't find anything that
Yeah.
otherwise.
It's a beautiful box. I'm really surprised at the quality. I'm gonna skip down here and get some of that uh kind of like brown area in the mid kind of middle part of the picture. I'm gonna take the ultramarine blue. I'm gonna take some of this Van Dyke brown and add that to it. There's really nice browns in this set. That's the place that I see it falls apart a lot of times with less expensive sets. You've got this beautiful Van Dyke brown. You've got this dark brown. Now, one of the wrappers this wrapper and that wrapper both say burnt sienna, but we've got this nice dark brown, and then we've got this nice orangey burnt sienna. Then you've got a raw sienna. So there's some really nice earth tones here. I'm very surprised at how nice the color selection is here in the 24 set. I think the 12 set was actually pretty good too. I want to get some dry brushing, so I'm going to start on the tape and just kind of swipe it across and just try to get some of that texture there. It takes a little bit of bravery to do this, but I just want that kind of you can use a flat brush too if you want, but I just kind of want that broken, snowy field. And then we can flick some up the mountain a bit. I'm not touching any of the areas that are still wet, so I'm avoiding where it meets up to the sky here. I'm using that texture of the cold pressed paper. If you got the hot pressed paper, you're not going to see as dramatic of a texture, but it still should work pretty well. You could always find a scruffier brush. Like if you have an old scruffy brush that doesn't hold a point very well, you could use that instead. Now I want to add a little green to that. I think that I'm going to go with the olive green. It's got a really pretty olive green in it. I'll show you what that looks like. That olive green there. And that's like the sap green is much more bright. The olive green is really pretty. The Viridian says it's an actual true Viridian. It's got PG17 in it as well as PR101, which is weird. I don't see any PR101 in there, but I'm not sure if the stuff is accurate on the label. I'm gonna add a little ultramarine blue to that to desaturate and cool it down a bit. And I'm gonna use that in the kind of the hillside here. Oh, what a pretty color. But keep in mind the sparkle on the paper is going to be that just kind of messy light snow that has arrived into Prairie Town here in the UK. I think they get too much snow over there. This is probably just dusting. I guess it's not a prairie either if you got a mountain. It's a good thing I'm not a geography teacher. Right. Now that
Mountainous prairies of Scotland.
sorry, Scottish people. Oh goodness, I'm taking some of this raw sienna and add it to that mix that I just made with the green and the blue. It's a pretty raw sienna. And I'll throw some of I'm still using the number 10 round. That's got a really nice point to it. You could switch over to the detail if you want, but you'll have to reload your brush more frequently if you do that. A little bit of that in there too. Being less snowy by the moment. Just flicking right off the tape. Just flick up your longest grasses because that's going to give scale. The things closer to the viewer, towards the bottom or towards the top of the picture would be closer to the viewer. So those things would be bigger. So if I had a bunch of clouds in the sky, I'd have big clouds up here and smaller clouds down towards the horizon. Oh, I forgot to mention, if anybody has any questions as we're going along today, just type the word question in all caps in the chat, and Jason can spot that and he can relay that along to me, or different moderators that are in the chat could answer. Or, anytime you have a question, there's always helpful people that are watching that will share their tips and tricks. I'll add a little more of that brown. And I could choose a different brown, but I recommend always, if you have a color you can reuse from what you've already been doing, use that, because that will give you more harmony in your work, and you'll have a better outcome. It'll look more professional if you keep using the colors that you've been using. A little bit of that brown back there too. I think the mountains in the background need a little bit of a glaze on them. So I'm going to take a little bit of this purpley color, a little bit of this blue, just really watered down. And I'm just going to kind of glaze over that. I think that'll also give it more of a snowy appearance. Really light though. Or the pink in there for this mid ground as the snow is reflecting some of the sky colors. Snow is not just white. We've got lots of colors in there.
Thinking about that. I get worried when oh no, why are you painting over the snow? But then I look at the photo and it's like, oh, there's no white on the snow there. But it's snow.
Yeah, it's you got to paint what you see and not what you think is there.
Right. Sure looked white when I was out with the dog this morning.
I know. Well, I feel like this time of year, everything just looks black and white. You go out and walk the dog and you're in the woods and like you're seeing the bright white snow contrasted with the bare, dark branches, and it's just like you've stepped it. It's like you've stepped out of the Wizard of Oz. You're in the depressing, I don't know, not Oz. I was gonna say Kansas, but I don't want to offend people from Kansas. It's like you're in Maine and then you go to Oz. I'm from Maine. I'll offend myself. I'll offend Mainers.
We all know.
We know. I was asking in Sat Chat, what's the flavor of January? And people were like, dirty road salt. Somebody said stale Necco wafers. I'm like, that's it right there. Stale Necco wafers. That wins the day. That is a flavor of winter if I ever knew it. I'm adding some of that Van Dyke brown into our yellow and red. I'm going for a brick color here. I'm going to add some of that raw sienna, a little more of that red that we used. I mean, yeah, I could just grab that brown, but like I said before, use the colors that you've already been using. I keep thinking I'm gonna get them. I am getting a little graphite on my hands though from like holding this brush. I don't know if that's the best design. And as far as the dual ended brushes from Fumui, I recommend getting the ones that are a little bit longer with the wooden handles rather than in the black barrels rather than these silver barreled ones because these are going to be fine for a small painting like this, but I think they'd just be really uncomfortable to hold after a while, especially if you have any sort of like strength issues or arthritis or anything like that. I think that would get really kind of crampy after a while. And I might go in here with a white pen before we're done, or even a color pencil or a pastel pencil, because if you look at the building here and you see there's some, I guess that's probably snow stuck to it. I think it was masonry stucco or whatever, but I think it's snow. But if you look between the bricks, it's not really bright white, and I think maybe using like a cream colored pastel pencil to go in and draw around the bricks might be the best idea. And we kind of just put a wash of your color of the brick color down or the stone color down. And I think that would give you a much more realistic look. So I think I'm actually just going to do that. Let's just give it a wash. Especially where it's so small. We're not painting this really big. This is just like a 1 inch by 2 inch little building here. Go easy on ourselves. It's January after all. We have enough challenges. We do enough challenges in January. All right, the roof is kind of a gray. So I'm going to take my ultramarine blue and my brown. Actually, I think I have some left over from these. They have a little more binder in them or something. We'll see if we get any bronzing on the dry paint. I still think they're definitely worth the price of this set. But they do feel like they have a little filler or binder or something in them. I'm not sure I buy the information on the pan wrappers. I'll show you that. At the end of the video, we'll go over that. If anybody wants to stick around and watch that, they can. And if not, that's fine. We'll do the tutorial first. That way folks watching the replay, if they're not interested, they can they don't have to skip around and keep looking. They'll have all the good stuff. And I want that little wood shed bottom part in the back a little darker, so I'm just adding some more Van Dyke brown. I want it a little browner. All right. And then I think while I've got this dark color on my brush, I'm just going to add a shadow next to that chimney. And a little bit under the eave there. And I think a little bit on the other side of this chimney too to help it pop out a little bit from the building. All right, I'm going to go to the detail side of that brush, see how that works. Because you need these bigger brushes to be pretty wet in order to get a lot of detail. Otherwise, the bristles want to split apart, which is not fault of this brush. That's just how the larger brushes tend to be. So let's see how this little guy goes. Let's make some little grasses. Yeah, that works fine. Looks like there's some little rocks in there too under the snow. I think I'll put those in. Those are kind of interesting. Brown or blue to make a nice dark. I am getting dents in the paint already, and this is the first time I've used it other than to swatch them. So just a little thing to keep in mind. Let's see, a bit of rock here. So basically, I'm painting some rocks. I'm just painting kind of what's not the snow. So I'm negative painting around some of the rocks. As they just kind of peek over out of the ground. I don't know if I'm gonna, that might be a mistake. We'll see. It might not be enough detail to tell what it is, but also I think I'll throw in just a little bit of kind of darker areas in the center just to kind of guide the eye through the piece. So we need some dark over here because it's so got everything happening over there, and this is just really not too much going on over here. And then let's take some blue, some ultramarine blue, a little bit more in this mix up here. So it's still the blue and brown. But I think I want to have something like I see we've got this, I don't know, it just looks like just texture up there on the mountain. It's probably just rock that's showing through the snow. And I want to get that in there too because it's going to help balance it out a little bit. Use this cooler toned mix of gray. So it's the more blue, less brown. And you can add some details back here, and that's going to help push it back because it's cooler in temperature. I can make a warmer gray just by shifting over into my mix where I have more brown, and that gives me a more warmer to neutral gray. If I want to do any shading down here, I can have that warmer gray.
Is there a quote on these in the calendar pages?
Yeah, I think it's the same ones as last year though, because we have a Degas quote and then we have a Da Vinci quote. The painter has the universe in his mind and hands by Da Vinci, and the Degas I can't read because it's under my tape, and I've got paint on top of the tape, so I can't see through it. Um, yeah, I think they just changed the dates and they kept the calendar the same. Actually, I have the calendar behind you on that in front of the color wheel on behind the crayons on that shelf right there. Yeah, if you flip through those and you look back to January, you can see we can see if the quotes are the same.
Art is not what you see, but what you make others see.
Yep, that's what the guy one is. And then on the bottom is their Da Vinci quote.
Yeah.
Yep, same thing. I think I might put a little bit of green poking through.
The last January speaker.
Sure, yeah, and you can see the playlist of all of my of last year's calendar project on the YouTube channel in the playlist under the playlist tab. And this one was a time lapse, but all the other tutorials were done in real time. So, because I kind of decided I wanted to do that after I got January done, that I would do that as a year-long project. So, yeah, I can paint along if you maybe like one of the older ones better than whatever I have coming up this year for the new ones, or you just want to, get it done out of the way and you want to follow last year's tutorials. That is totally fine. I'm gonna put some taller grasses here just to give it a little more scale too. I think that I can get a finer line with the thicker end though. So, experiment your Results may vary. I just want to get some little warmer details in the front. Okay, so I mentioned using a pastel pencil or a colored pencil or something in this area. I'm going to give it a quick dry. You never want to use pencils over damp paper because it will flatten down the tooth and then it will make it slick so you can't stick anything down onto it. Or if you could actually scrape the paper and mar the surface so that you can't do anything on top of it. Just giving it a quick little dry will help that. I think I'm going to use colored pencil as opposed to pastel pencil, but either would work just because if I have these stacked up in the calendar, I don't want them to rub and blur off. So I think we start off with a gray, a Prismacolor cool gray, 30%. You could use a beige. Honestly, either would work just fine. But I'm just going to go, actually, I'm going to go over my lines that I originally drew. I don't know if I'll do them all. Debating whether I want actually a warmer color. Let's see a peach. A peach might work a little bit better. Oh yeah, I think I like the peach better. I'm going to go over that gray with the peach. White, I think, would be just a little too stark for the mortar here, or grout, whatever it's called. Is it mortar or grout on a stone building?
Oh, I don't know. I guess I would call it mortar, but I don't know what they would call it.
Brick glue. You don't have to draw every brick in there, just kind of give an impression of it. And then something, some snow on the roof, I think. Let's try. It's not super white. I'm wondering if this like cloud blue might work. Just gotta get this at a good angle here. Oh, that might not be quite light enough, but we'll get a little bit in there anyway. I like that color. I'm gonna leave that out. Let's go with the white though. On these edges where the snow would collect.
Looks like we're in agreement on mortar.
Mortar, okay. I knew the group would know. Now to get some sticky snow on the edge of the building, I'm just kind of taking my white pencil and just dragging it across the surface. And it's going to catch the edge of the building and just let some stick. And you can also do that on the ground if you want to. It's not going to be so opaque that it will just cover everything up. So I think it'll be fine. If you want a more opaque result, go ahead and use a gel pen. And if you want to add any other brighter snow, because you can get a nice textures by going with the edge of your pencil and it will just kind of catch a sparkle on the snow. If you want anything really, really white, I would suggest a gel pen because you don't really need to get too much down. It will not want to stick too well over your colored pencil, but you can get some of it to stick down.
Is it possible to search for tutorials in Critique Club by specific media?
My advice would be, because it's not broken down by media, my advice would be to go to the archive page, the sales page on My Teachable School, and look at the thumbnail, because you'll see a little picture of each painting, and you can probably surmise what the project used is, or you can go to the table of contents, and it will usually tell you in parentheses after the title of the project what media is used. I'm adding some thicker snow here by just kind of dabbing on some of this. Oh, and if you were looking to pick up any of the Critique Club archives, I just added the 2025 archive. The individual archives are no longer available per year, but you can get a bundle of all the years 2019 through 2025. And that bundle is on sale, 50% off, as well as the 2025 bundle. So you can get the most recent year if you already have the archive and you want to add to it, or you can pick up all the archives at once if you want to.
What are the pencils you're using again?
Prismacolor color pencils. And this is a Blue Tiger white gel pen. The infamous Blue Tiger white gel pens that I rave about all the time. Now I'm putting a little bit of bright white snow detail. Actually, that's a 0.8. I want the 1mm because that one's a little bit thicker. The stuff that I recommend, I'll add it to the video description after the stream is done. The stuff that I recommend has 0.6, 0.8, and 1mm pens, and it comes with 3 of each. And these are the best gel pens. There are other brands, there are other companies that have the same pen. It's a white label product. I just don't know for sure which other companies have it. But these are great. They have nice thick nibs, and they don't tend to clog, and you get so much pen, like so much ink that's all full of ink there, versus a tiny little channel of ink like on a Jelly Roll or a Uniball Signo. I'm just doing some stippling here to be the sparkle and the close-up snow. If you got really chunky grass and you don't like it, you can go in and draw over it with the pens, and that will kind of like highlight the grass and thin it out a bit. You could also go in, I feel like that chimney is coming off at a weird crooked angle. You could also come in with gel pens if you wanted to. I mean, not gel pens. Well, you could. I mean, fine liners.
Maybe they need more mortar.
They need more mortar. They're suggesting more mortar.
No, if the chimney's crooked.
Oh, true. So very true.
We don't know how long that's been there. Although
And there's
it's like a metal roof, maybe.
It does, doesn't it? Probably not since Hobbit times then. All right, I want to take the tape off and see how it looks. And I can always add some other stuff if I need to. Because this tape is so sticky and I want to make sure the paper's dry, I am using the heat tool here. And that will eliminate, hopefully, the chance of me ripping my paper as I remove the tape. Although this tape is so sticky, I used it in a brand new sketchbook with great paper, and it did tear the paper a little bit. It didn't make a problem, but I was like, oh, I definitely need to prefer to use a heat tool. I think it's because the tape is kind of on the old side and it's kind of stickier over the years. There, that's nice and easy. It's hard to, I think it's so much nicer to evaluate your work after you've got that nice border on it. Probably be a good idea to keep a couple mats on hand on like your common sizes that you paint, so you can lay a mat over something to see, when you're done painting it, to get a good fresh look at it. Because sometimes it just seems like everything you make is a hot mess and you've forgotten how to paint. So having one of those moments yesterday. I was like, do I even know how to paint anymore? I think that looks all right. What's it need, guys? You have any suggestion, honey?
Do I?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think it's all right for January. Although I'm kind of tempted to use a little fine liner. These are my favorite brown fine liners. They're by Biennial, and you get I think 10 or 12 for, well, I think the regular price is like $16, but I've seen them go on sale for less than that. But I like the tone of them. They're nice dark brown. Sometimes sepia can be a little bit. Oh yeah, I like that. Now I am kind of going over the mortar with this, but I kind of like that the darker look. I use these on the Line and Wash Fall Favorites class, but I've been using the same set for quite a long time, for over a year, probably about a year and a half, and none of them have gone dry yet. So for the amount that I've used these and the longevity, they are definitely a pick. That would actually be a top 5 product for 2025, I think. I've been watching people's top 5 videos, and I've been like, I don't know what I would pick. I don't know what my top 5 would be. I feel like I don't use anything enough, any one thing enough. But I think these pens would be a pick. That and probably the white gel pens. But I'm stemming the tide of things coming in this year. At least that's my plan.
maybe turn things away if I see him coming up to the front porch.
No,
Somebody walks up with a box. I say, no, take it away.
do not do that.
Oh,
No, but I mean, I'm not going to be ordering as much. I'm saving it for flat files for when I move upstairs to the studio up there. And pick some little wheats. Looks like a little feather on a stick. That's how you draw wheat. And let it like if you do some little grasses and stuff, let them override like different, like if you've got a shadow, you've got a dip, have the grasses come up above that, cross that threshold, because that will give you a nice sense of scale. It looks nice.
what's the name of those liners again?
They're Biennial sketch liners. I'll update the video description when I'm done. Sometimes these go on sale. Usually they go on sale when they do those like Amazon Prime days and things like that. But even at full price, I think they're a pretty good deal. And you could sign your name with them and everything. All right. Did anybody have any other suggestions or?
No, people seem to love that.
All right, cool. Well, I'm glad this was fun. I hope you guys paint along. I think we needed kind of an easy project for January because January is just a slog, isn't it? Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining. If you have any questions after the fact, go ahead and leave them in the comments underneath the live stream. And yeah, it'll be if you paint this and you want to share it with me, I do have a communities section on my YouTube channel. It's either under community or posts. I think you can only add there if you're on mobile. I don't think you can do that on the computer, but you certainly can share that way or on social media and tag me at Lindsay Weirich on Instagram or Facebook or share in the community. So share in the Facebook group. We have a wonderful Facebook group. It's called Lindsay's Frugalites, and it is moderated by some very lovely people. And there's so much inspiration there. People are sharing their work done by tutorials here, and it's a lot of fun to check that out too. And it's a great group to be a member of because it's no drama. It's all happy art and nice people. So thank you all for joining, and we will see you next time. Happy crafting!